There we go. Okay, so what we have is something that's more political than it is anything to do with the Bible. I just want to talk about it real quick. I'm going to read an article, and I don't really watch the news. Okay, I really don't care. It's all a bunch of made up garbage for the most part. But we have 15,000 people that are rushing the border. Now I want to talk about this article. So that's what we're doing today. And yeah, I'm just gonna read. I'm just gonna read the stuff that's going on. Let me pull up my thing. Share my screen. And it doesn't want to work. It doesn't want to work. That's too bad. Okay. So what's going on is there's 15,000, Hondurans, Mexicans mixed in. They all want to come to the United States. Trump basically said it's a state of emergency where he's using regular military troops to stop them. That's a big deal. That's a really, really huge deal because the federal government cannot come into the states with their military. It's up to their own thing. And National Guard is already there. Everybody is already there, kind of waiting for them. And these people are speaking, they want asylum, but they don't want asylum. People that come to this country. We don't have a problem with people coming to the country or anything like that, but they don't want asylum. They just want to run over the border and call it good. So I thought that this was a very interesting thing that you really have to bend the law in order to bring active troops into a state. Okay. The Constitution is set up in such a way that federal troops cannot bring their crap into your state. You got National Guard. The governor of the state is the one who controls it. So what I am going to do here is, because I can't screen share for whatever reason, which is terrible. Try it again. Share it. Share it. It's not going to work. Well, that sucks. I will just read the article about what's going on in the South. I wanted to do a nice, fun video where we're going to have Felix Jones. Felix Jones. Okay. The Trump administration is planning to dispatch at least 800 active duty troops to the southern border of the direction the president, who has sought to transform fears about immigration into electoral gains in the midterms, blah, 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 blah. It has nothing to do with the election. It has to do with you have 15,000 people who are running on your border. Active military troops means war. Okay, it's not National Guard. It's not reserve. It's not nothing. It's war. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis is expected to sign under an order sending the troops to the border, bolstering the national defense forces already there. An action comes as President Donald Trump has spent the recent days calling attention to the caravan of Central Americans slowly making their way by foot into southern Mexico, which still has more than 1,000 miles to U.S. soil. Just, they're coming. And all of these people are from places where you can actually qualify as asylum. Okay, they're coming from third world countries. In America, you apply for asylum. The problem is that you can never go back to your country again. You apply for asylum, you can come here to America. But if you apply for asylum, it means you can never go back to your country. Otherwise, you're dissing the United States. And a lot of people ain't going to do it. Nope, they just want to come in, go do their thing, and then, I'm going to go back home. I'm going to go back home to my old country, coming in here and using the United States. I know this personally for a fact. In my own family, close family. The additional troops will provide a logistical support. They're skirting that line, man. For Border Patrol, says a U.S. official. What's the guy's name? What's the guy's name? Who spoke on condition of anonymity. No, it's a war. It's a war that's going on. Nobody wants to take the name for it. To discuss a plan that has been finalized and formally announced. No, it hasn't. There's been no formally announced plan. Nobody wants to take head of this. Nobody. But it has to be done. Trump wanted to build a wall. Well, ain't got no wall. Now what we're in is a state of emergency. If we're in a state of emergency, president can do whatever he wants. There you go. It is not unusual for the National Guard to help out with border security. Of course not. That's their job. That's their job. Other than playing basketball. That's what they do. Okay. Active duty troops, however, rarely deployed within the United States, except for domestic emergencies like hurricanes or floods. You got active duty troops that are watching these people. And you have to have a state of emergency to have them in there. I don't dislike the people that are coming up here. They've been doing it for 30 years, out the rail lines and stuff like that. I know people who live in California, and they tell me about all the people that get off the trains. Mexico refuses to do anything about people coming up through their country. They just say, well, as long as you're on the train before you hit Mexico and you get off the train out of Mexico, then we don't care. They're people smugglers. It's going to be interesting how this plays out. But the fact that there is actual real military people, I think it's going to end badly. It's going to end badly. I wish I could share my screen, but I just can't do that. All right. So, low Roy, high Max. Yeah, hey. Isaac Thorpe, hey. Warrior for God. Fighting with your wife, you're going to lose that one. It's pretty much guaranteed. This video, I'm probably, after this live stream, is going to be gone because I don't talk about politics on my channel. It's just not something that I really do. But knowing what I know about how the military operates and the things that are put in place, it's scary. It's really scary. And like I said, I have firsthand, secondhand. I don't know what I would call that. I have firsthand experience with this stuff. Um, Troops being sent Trump's direction would not be on an armed security mission. This is the actual military. They would assist the Border Patrol by providing such things such as vehicles, tents, and equipment. It's the military. You don't think that the guys that are already there have tents and equipment? No, these guys are the people who are paid to go out and go fight people. Oh yeah, we're just going to provide tents. That's stupid. That's stupid. There are already about 2,000 National Guard members there. 2,000 of them. Trump has used the caravan to bolster his election season warnings that the U.S. is being infiltrated by illegal immigrants pouring across the border, in quotes. He has claimed that Middle Easterners, in quotes, were among the group. Well, it doesn't matter. Who cares where they're from? Trump has tried to portray the Democrats as pro-illegal immigration. I wouldn't go that far. Even claiming with no evidence that Democrats organized the caravan. No, they didn't. Here's the thing. Okay, under Obama, okay, you're Democratic president. We're going to talk politics. And yeah, I'll probably delete this video. Everybody left the United States because everything was crap. You couldn't get a job anywhere. Everybody was laying off. There was no jobs. There was no nothing in this country. There was nothing. And all the Mexicans left. Trump is here, and unemployment is the lowest it's been since 1960. And the Mexicans come back. That's how it is. You know, these are facts. This is not just some opinion that I make up out of my mind. Do I love Donald Trump? No. It's just where their politics goes. Donald Trump tweeted Thursday that Democrat-inspired laws make it tough for us to stop people at the border. And he said it was using a military response to what he called a national emergency. When you hear national emergency, it means that the president is a dictator. Okay? This is why this story is so important. The president is now a dictator because he's declaring a national emergency. Donald Trump is basically Julius Caesar at this point. Okay? The migrants in the sprawling caravan, once estimated by the United Nations to number more than 7,000, no, it's 15,000, are hoping to make it to the United States. What are you going to do? I mean, this is an invading army. I don't care. I mean, yeah, they're probably nice people, but you can't just walk into a country. What is Trump supposed to do? There are, if you're from Honduras, which a lot of this article says that most of the people are from Honduras, you can have asylum. You just go to the American embassy and you fill out the paperwork and you can have asylum and come into America. I don't know what they have. Everybody wants to come to America. That's what it comes down to. I'll look at chat briefly here before I continue on. Truth freeze. Is it even a question if we're being invaded? America's always been an open country. People can come here. And so, I mean, I don't care. Well, truth freeze. Yeah, a lot of people who are criminals in other countries will come here because it's pretty easy to get in. And yeah, that's how it goes. Greater plan of integration. I don't know about that. I don't know. We'll see. So, in this article here, we'll talk Candy Guillermo, a 37-year-old migrant. What the hell is a migrant? You mean an illegal? Is that what you're talking about? 37-year-old migrant in the caravan who had heard about the plan to deploy troops was surprised. Really? You're surprised? You're surprised. She and the children in the group would be considered a threat. Well, why would you be considered? I'm just trying to enter borders illegally. Why would anybody care? All I want to do is live over there. And people are calling me a threat. Are you an absolute idiot? I'm an idiot. You don't think that they're going to shoot you? You don't think so? How would you just shoot how would you shoot me and my children? Because you're breaking the law and you know you're doing it. You know it. And there are ways where if you want to come to the United States, it's not hard. It's not. It's not hard at all. Like crap. It was on Drudge Report like 3 or 4 days ago about how the people that actually are Americans, live in America, can't pass the citizenship test. So why don't you take your asylum stuff and try to focus on passing that test? Migrants who do reach the U.S. border can claim asylum under U.S. and international law. Those who clear an initial screening are often released until their cases are decided in immigration court, which can take several years. So these people have nothing to lose. Okay? Nothing. The U.S. had 300,000 asylum claims in 2017. 300,000. More than any country in the world, according to the UN. Nearly double the asylum claims in 2015 and quadruple in 2013. Gee, I wonder what president all these people want that are fleeing their countries to come across the border. They want Ali Akbar Obama, or do they want Donald Trump? Which one do they want? Because 4 times the people come through with Donald Trump. 4 times. Trump ordered the deployment of National Guard earlier this year to respond to spike in illegal crossings. Those troops are under the control of the state governors and are limited support roles such as providing surveillance. No, they're not. Trump didn't order nothing like that. He said you should do that. National Guard is controlled by the actual governors themselves. So that's how that is. That's why when there's a statement said that actual active military going to the borders is a big deal, because that's like a state of war. The governors control National Guard. They control all that stuff. DHS asked for help in various forms, the officials said. including air transport and other logistical assistance. It was not immediately clear why active duty forces were sought because National Guard troops can perform the same functions. Because Trump wants control of it. He doesn't want this stuff to blow up. How far are we from election day? 10 days? Something like that. Earlier this year, Mattis authorized Pentagon funding for up to 4,000 National Guard troops on the border. Thus far, only a little 2,000 have been used. Federal law prohibits the use of active duty service members for law enforcement inside the U.S. unless specifically authorized by Congress. That's why it's a big deal. Okay. That's why it's a big deal. We have plenty of National Guard people out there. We have all this stuff. You have the governors of these states, but Trump is declaring a national emergency so he can use his own troops, because otherwise he has nothing. He can't do anything in the United States. He can't do anything. He has to declare a national emergency in order to use Army troops, Air Force, Navy, whatever he wants to bring in. He has to declare a national emergency because the people in these states cannot take care of it themselves. And so that's what's going on. I thought it was a great article. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I may or may not even leave this up. And, you know, we're good, 11 people. So there we are. I wanted to talk about it. I actually was going to do a satire video with the new character. And we'll be going live on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central with our next study. But this is, you know, remarkable, is basically to have regular troops, like actual military inside the United States, is a big deal. That hasn't happened in a long, I don't even think ever. It's a really big deal, operating on a mission. So there we are. There we are. Anybody who's up here who's got any questions for me, go ahead and shoot them off. Otherwise, I think I'm done. It's late. It's Friday night. I'll have to reboot my computer or something because it won't screen share the actual article. All part of a greater Israeli Kilgary plan. Well, here's the deal. You have to look at it like an invading army. I mean, I would do the same thing. I would literally do the same thing as what Donald Trump is doing. I would mobilize everything that I have, because getting into the United States is tremendously easy. Because if you're from a third world country somewhere, we will give you asylum. The problem that these people have that come from these countries is that they won't integrate into America. They refuse. And you become an American citizen, you can't go back to your country. Otherwise, you're going to lose your passport. You're going to lose your citizenship. Okay? That's what it is. But these people want to come in here, and I want to be part of my old life, and I also want to be part of America. What the hell? And you've got 15,000 people coming up to your border. Yeah, you got a problem. You got a problem. You ain't getting in. You're just not. And it's not hard to get into America. It's not hard. Go in there and go apply for citizenship, and they'll, you know, literally, if your application is out there, you can be an illegal alien or something like that. And as long as your application is out there for like 5 years, whatever it is, you're still fine to be in the country. They don't have anything to do with visas or anything like that. The problem is that people do not want to take asylum. They do not want to confess the United States being their country. They still want to go back home. So they're going to make this big long trek, and then they still want to go back home. You could just say you're a refugee and won't let you right in, probably give you a house and a car and a driver's license because we're nice guys like that. But no, you ain't going to have that. I still want to go back home. I want to have all the benefits of the United States without actually doing anything for the country. Yeah. And, firsthand experience. So, Truth Reese, foreign invaders' lives matter. Yes. Well, we'll see how much they matter. It's going to be a big deal because this big caravan of 15,000 people is still 1,000 miles away from the border. And America's already set up. And it's going to be weird to see what happens with it. But what do you expect? I mean, there is no other country in the world that would even allow this. It's ridiculous. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to have 15,000 people. I'm going to roll up on Sweden. I'm going to go into Sweden. Oh, I need my secret bank account into Sweden. I mean, it's stupid. Everybody in the world comes to America. America. They don't come to Britain because they have to swim. But everybody is coming here. And it's fine. My town is mostly, well, probably a third or 50% Spanish people. Ain't no problems with these guys. But you gotta follow the laws, man. You gotta follow the laws. Truth Freeze, Mexico is probably emptying their prisons like Castro did. Well, there was the guy, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, who was around during the Bush administration, George Bush Jr. And that guy tried to clean up his country a bit, and he got killed. I don't know who's in charge right now with Mexico, but here's what I know for a fact. Okay, from talking to people and people that live in these situations. Mexico does not want anybody in their country at all who's not Mexican. But there's a rail line that goes through South America up through Mexico. And if people want to get on that train, as long as they don't stop in Mexico, Mexico doesn't have a problem. And it ends up basically in California. And they've been doing that for 20, 30 years. And just let people off and whoa, off they go. They've been doing that for a long time, as long as you don't stop in Mexico. And that's what's going on right now. It was Guatemala, I believe. I'm not positive on that, but Mexico just doesn't care. They just let everybody through their borders. And they tell them, as long as you don't stop in Mexico and keep going to the United States, we don't care. Just keep going. And that's exactly what's going on now. And that's why the border is we got real military there. I mean, not guys that play basketball every other Sunday like National Guard guys do. No, we got real military there. That's what's coming down to. And this is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal when they actually show up at the U.S. border. They're 1,000 miles away, so it's going to take them about 2 months, probably. It's funny. All you got to do is just fill out the paperwork and say I'm a refugee and then let you in. Nope, they're not going to do it because I'm holding fast to my old Honduras background. I still want to go back to Honduras, even though I'm escaping it. These people. These people. Truth freeze. Press for Truth showed where the tents for refugees were never used. They were straight to hotels. Well, that's what happens when you come to the United States. Here's the thing. I don't know how many people know this, but if you're coming from a very, very bad place, and I'll pick Burma, okay, Myanmar. This is considered one of the biggest. I'm going to try not to swear. Crap holes, dung holes on the planet. And the people there are living under subjugation from their dictator. And it's considered one of those places where it's kind of like being a slave. That's how America looks at it. And there are a lot of countries out there that are like that. If you're in a third world country, you can go to the embassy and declare asylum and pretty much be shipped to the United States. That's how it is. They also have student visas and things like that. And what ends up happening is these peoples, rather than declaring asylum, they'll come by a different means. Crossing the border illegally, whatever. Student visa, whatever. And they'll come because they don't want to give up that citizenship to their original country. So then they come here and they have to be sponsored. And it takes about $20,000 to sponsor somebody. So you have to pretty much marry somebody who has some money or get into a family who has some money, something like that, and get there, and then you're good. The whole thing is a bunch of crap, okay? Because if you're that scared of your country and you didn't like your country that much, why would you not declare asylum and just be here? The difference is between becoming a citizen through all of the rigmarole you have to go to and becoming a citizen as being a refugee. Okay. You can't go back to your country if you're a refugee. You're here. And these people that come absolutely refuse. They want to go back to my country sometime, but I want all the benefits that I get from the United States. I want all those benefits, and I want to go back to my old country that I was fleeing. That is the bulk of what's going on and what's going to happen with these 15,000 people that are coming. Truth frees are being coached on how to bypass and get in. Well, it's not hard to get in the United States. I mean, it's not. It's literally really easy. I crossed the border many a times. Yeah, in Minnesota and Canada, and yeah, it's really easy. Infinite Architect agenda for the total collapse. This is one of the reasons that I actually am even doing a live stream. I'm surprised I am. I was going to record something else, and it is sort of a thing with the New World Order. I mean, there are people in high places that say, even though we have this problem with 5 to 15,000 people, we'll just let them go and just see what they do. That has to happen at the highest levels. Okay. You can't run all the way through a country with 15,000 people and no one going to take notice of it. No, there is something bigger going on. And like I said, the biggest thing is that America, Donald Trump, is making an executive order and calling it a state of emergency. It's very important. State of emergency basically means that Donald Trump is the dictator. He dictates everything that happens in all of the states. That's it. Normally, under normal conditions, the states have their own control, and there's a federal government that kind of overrides. But in a state of emergency, you're basically saying you're at a state of war. Okay, so that's how that goes. Look at Germany and Switzerland. Yeah. Well, I mean, Germany is not part of the UN. I mean, they're in it, but they're not a big player. No one will, no one, no one will ever let those guys go. No, it's America, England, and China, France. Yeah. So there we have it with the article. Glad you guys could come up and watch it. I'm gonna work on doing, my character thing here. Maybe we'll see. I might do the character thing. I saw this article and I wanted to talk about it. Otherwise, I was doing a character thing. I think it looks pretty good. It really highlights my face and stuff. It's good. Johnny Feather said that common sense seems to have totally vanished. Of course, Trump must stop this caravan. Nothing has to do with being racist or not welcoming. Absolutely. I love Spanish guys. Uh, Look, Mexican people are some of the best hardworking people I've ever worked with the exception of one. But that's over 30 years ago. All the rest have been great. Um, I really like them. I live in a town that's basically probably close to half Spanish. I don't care. It's a quiet town. There's no crime going on. There's no nothing going on here. These people are nice people, but you do got to be sort of legal, and you know that's how that goes. You got to follow the rules, and all these people follow the rules. It's good. It's good. It's great people. I actually really like them. I also like Hmong Laotian people. I really like those guys too. I have worked with them, and I worked with a guy who was like 10 years older than me, maybe even more than that, who was a child sort of after the Vietnam War. And I got to talk to him about what they were thinking during the Vietnam War, and it was really great. The guy was a great worker. The guy was good. I'm not being racist by saying that it's an invasion coming to the United States. I'm not being racist at all. No, just do it right. Do it the way you're supposed to do it. That's all. That's all I'm saying. infinite architect agenda to accelerate a total collapse. Go to like look at Europe and the Muslims. The Muslims are completely destroying Britain right now. It's really sad, and it's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen in the United States, but it's really bad. My number one video is one about Muslims invading Lake Calhoun, where they're threatening to rape women and stuff like this at a family lake that's pretty much in the most posh part of town. And it doesn't fly here in America. They go to places, Muslims, that is, they go to places like in Britain, they can't have guns. So we're going to infiltrate places where people cannot defend themselves and no one has a baseball bat in their car, whatever. They go to places where you can't defend yourself. And that's where they're going to set up shop. And they'll go in with huge amount of numbers. I think there was 30 people in the people who invaded Lake Calhoun. Now, Lake Calhoun with the hoity-toity posh people, none of them had a pistol. If you're going to invade Glencoe with your 30 people, you're going to get shot. I mean, we're all farmers. We all have shotguns. They're all loaded all the time. I mean, because you have to shoot varmints out there that are messing with your cattle. You have to shoot stuff all the time. Ain't no Muslims coming out here, man. Not one. Not one. Because they're scared in their little panties. But they're going to go to Lake Calhoun in the middle of the city where nobody, everybody's a white collar guy, doesn't get his hands dirty. That's where they're going to go. And that's how it is. But I don't equate that with, Spanish people coming up from Mexico. Don't equate that at all. Or people coming from, like Laos, Vietnam, stuff like that. They're totally different people. Christ sparing, been saying about that for Britain. Yeah. That's their agenda. That's the way they want to roll. Apple cider vinegar, Planet Mommy. Yeah, that's good stuff. Apple cider vinegar and actually colloidal silver is actually pretty good when you're sick. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. So anyways, I just want to say, it's a big deal when the president moves active military troops to a situation and understanding the situation for what it is. You have a bunch of people who just want to run across the border. You have to deal with it. Okay. Granted, you fill out your paperwork and say I'm a refugee. It might take a year before they allow you in, but it still will happen. Instead, what they're doing is we're just going to bum rush the gates and run in. And what do these people expect is going to happen? What do they expect? They're going to get shot. What? And then it's going to be a big news story about, the massacre of all these people who are just trying to have a better life than what they had before. It's a massacre. That's like a bunch of people get together and do something stupid. And it's a massacre when they do something stupid and get shot. What? Yeah. I guess everyone's throwing back and forth cooking recipes. Well, that's good. Anyone who's just joining, I noticed a couple of people just joining. I've been going for 45, and I actually intended to make another video about what we're doing on Tuesday. We're doing on Tuesday is going to be talking about the New World Order. So everyone needs their tinfoil hats. It's going to be me, Robert Breaker, probably Brett. I'm not positive on that. Um, that is what will be going on. And I was intending to make a movie doing a parody, but I saw this and I thought it was a very big deal. And it's not really a body of Christ thing, it's a United States thing. And I don't like to get into politics too much, but here I am. I'm doing politics. So, anyone's got questions about what I've been saying or what I've been talking about, I covered pretty much about all that I had to say. Covered the article, read that, and my own personal experience with refugees and sponsorship for somebody who wants to come into the country legally. Ronco the third. I'm not even scared. I'm glad I have Christ because people are freaking out about these bombs and stuff. Oh yeah, that bomb thing. I didn't even bother covering that. It's just some nutcase. I looked at that and I said it's been on Drudge for a while, and it's just some nutcase, and it's like there's nothing to that. Just one angry lone nut. Kind of how it goes. Ugh. All right, so this video is going to be up for about 8 hours for people to watch. It's not something that really ties in with my channel. It's kind of a discussion thing. That's something that's like I was going to do this, but I'm like, you know. So it is going to go away, guys. It is going to go away. I'll probably just unlist it or something like that. But it really doesn't have anything to do with Christianity. It has to do with the United States and what is going on with the border crossings and this large caravan of people who just thinks they can push their way into the United States. And Mexico does nothing about it. Nothing. Nick the Quick, what is Max? Max, what is Tuesday's discussion about? Tuesday's discussion is about the New World Order. We are talking New World Order with Robert Raker and maybe Brett. It's going to be fun times. Ronco the third. Unfortunately, I have grown up in a generation where we have no clue what the hell is going on. I'm glad my parents were raised in the 60s. Mine were raised in the 40s. Let you know how old I am. I think a big part of growing up is weeding out the garbage and focusing on the main things. When literally, when I stopped watching television, so much more became clear to me. I'm not talking about Bible stuff. This is before I was even into the Bible. I stopped watching television. But so much more became clear to me. And then when you go back to it, you happen to catch a news story or something like that on television, you're like, what? This is ridiculous. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that benefit where they always have to have television. They always have to have this. They always have to have that. And that's a staple of their life. Where if you remove things from your life, you can go back into it. Not saying you're going to hell if you watch television, but you can go back into it and you have a completely different mindset about what's going on. So that's what I have. And I might try and do my parody tonight, but I don't think it's going to get there. Anyways, thank you all for joining. I guess load your shotguns if you're in America. I don't know. I just thought it was it's basically the Donald Trump is going to war in order to mobilize those troops. That it's basically an act of war. And he can mobilize a certain amount of troops without Congress permission. He can mobilize them and do that. But that is basically an act of war. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I don't know. I would probably just fill out the paperwork. This is what I would do, as opposed to trying to storm the border. Because the border is pretty darn easy to get across. They just kind of let people go. I don't know. And like I said, I have no problem with Spanish people. None. We're good workers. But you can't have 15,000 people just roll into your state. I mean, come on, you can't do that. And then what's going to be the next day? 20,000 people. And the next day, 30,000 people. And the next day, 50,000 people. Can't do that. Can't do that. All right. So that's what we got. And this will be up for a little bit, and then I'll be taking her down. Just wanted to get that off my chest. We're going to be out of here.